In the last few minutes, the prosecutor has revealed that Wayne Couzens handcuffed and arrested Sarah Everard before putting her into the back of his car and driving her off to rape and murder her. And Ian, that really solves one of the big puzzles of this whole case about how Sarah Everard, a very bright and intelligent marketing executive, was persuaded to get into the back of Couzens' car as she walked home along the busy South Circular Road last March. The prosecutor has also quoted her boyfriend describing Sarah like this: she was extremely intelligent, savvy and streetwise, not a gullible person. The prosecutor said it was inconceivable that she would have got into a car without being coerced or manipulated. The prosecutor has also suggested very strongly that Wayne Couzens used the enforcement of the COVID regulations at the time to stop Sarah and then arrest her. And we do know that on the night she was abducted by Couzens, she was walking home at about 9:30 on the 3rd of March, but she'd been to visit a friend of hers for dinner at the friend's house in apparent breach of the regulations at the time. Remember, this was during the third lockdown during March, before the roadmap had been set out to get out of the lockdown. All social meetings were banned at the time. The prosecutor said that Wayne Couzens, in the days before this abduction, had been working on COVID patrols. He knew what to say to somebody breaching the COVID rules. The prosecutor has also said that there were occasions when Couzens would take home to his home in Deal his police belt and handcuffs, and he often did that. Not against the regulations, but he often went to training sessions at other locations from his normal workplace in South London. So it wasn't unusual for him to take them home, but there are witnesses, said the prosecutor, who described seeing Couzens in the days before the abduction wearing his police belt when he was out walking his dog and indeed shopping. Now, away from court, I've been talking to Simon Harding, a former detective chief inspector, who played a leading role in the Sarah Everard investigation. And I met him at the scene of Sarah's abduction, and I asked him about how it was that Wayne Couzens was able to persuade Sarah to get into the back of the car. This is what he said.
A witness saw Sarah being handcuffed. Now, for somebody to get into the back of a car with essentially a stranger, albeit he might have a police badge, without doing anything wrong, it would take someone like Sarah probably not to get into that car. She probably wouldn't have got into the back of that car. The only reason that I can think of, in my experience as a police officer, is that he's had to get her into that car somehow. And the main way to get her into that car is to put her under arrest. And one of the witnesses that has come forward in that inquiry that they found said that they saw Sarah being handcuffed. He could have made up a law, he could have said anything he wanted to get her into the car. I mean, he could have used COVID as a reason to get her into the back of the car and said, you're breaching COVID rules, and arrested her. You know, Sarah wouldn't necessarily have known every single law, and he could have made one up to get her in the back of the car.
The prosecutor's giving a lot of details, particularly about Wayne Couzens' movements and actions in the days ahead of the abduction. He said at one point that Couzens had joined a dating app on the internet, claimed to be a single man, and had had some contact with an escort woman. The Metropolitan Police, ahead of this hearing, has put out a very brief statement, and it said this: "We are sickened, angered and devastated by this man's crimes, which betray everything we stand for. Our thoughts are with Sarah's family and her many friends. We recognise his actions raise many questions and concerns, but we will not be commenting further until the hearing is complete. We expect the prosecutor to finish his details of the actions and events probably by lunchtime today. We may then get something from Jim Sturman, QC, who is the barrister for Wayne Couzens, some mitigation. We've no idea what he's going to say. And then the judge is going to take the rest of the day and overnight to consider his sentence. And he's already indicated in an earlier hearing that it's possible he may give Wayne Couzens a full life sentence. If not, then it's expected there'll be a very long minimum sentence. There's an automatic life sentence for his admission of the rape, kidnap and murder of Sarah Everard. But we won't hear the judge's final thoughts on the sentence until tomorrow.